Hi.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Christine Hall, and I'm the founder of the Mississauga Area Women in Business. The group that we're working with today is the Mastermind Momentum 2019 group, and we are so excited today to have Sabrina Bertelà on with us today. She is the owner, the CEO, the Girls Got It Going On gal in charge of the company called the Writing Company. And Sabrina, I just wanted to let you know that we were talking about content and how difficult we sometimes find coming up with the words. And I had asked the ladies in the mastermind what they might be interested in learning about. And it was Vicky who said this topic. So I'm sure she'll be joining us just any minute now. But also Agnes was sitting beside her and said, oh yes, we must talk to Sabrina, because I understand that you've been doing some work helping her out. So it's very exciting for us to have you on today and share your knowledge and your expertise with us. And I'm actually going to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little about what you do, who you are, and then we'll get into your topic. How does that sound?
Okay. It sounds exciting and frightening, but exciting.
We don't fight, I promise.
All right. So thank you, Christine, for the introduction. Hi, everybody. Hi, ladies. Happy International Women's Day, by the way. I am really deeply humbled for the opportunity to present to you today. So thank you for allowing me to share my content marketing expertise with the group. So because we're going to actually learn about me throughout this presentation, we're going to dissect my own autobiography as an example. If everybody is okay, I think we can dive right in.
Let's go for it. I think we're okay. Let's go for it.
Okay, so today's topic is centered around autobiographies and why they are not about you anymore. So hopefully throughout this presentation, I'll be able to share with you tips on how to write engaging and business-centric autobiographies for your digital platforms.
Can I ask a question very quickly?
Yeah.
Are you playing your presentation right now?
Am I sorry?
Are you playing a presentation?
I am.
Slides? Okay.
I did.
Okay. Can Agnes, can you see her slides or just her? I saw your slides at the beginning, and then just now I just see you. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, I see the slides as well. I have, because I on my computer, I see you guys on the right and Sabrina's presentation on the left.
Perfect. As long as you all can see the presentation, that's great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that you could.
No. Absolutely, absolutely. So, so the topic for today is autobiographies, but why they're actually not about you anymore, and we'll delve into that further in the next slides. But before we really get started on the content creation and the content aspect, I wanted to sort of go through what a biography is. So a biography is a story of a person's life written by another author. In reality, biographies take the form of a third-person narrative, and they proceed chronologically, of course, through the stages of a person's life. But it's important to note that a biography is in third-person narrative, whereas an autobiography tells the story of a person's own life and is written by that same person. So differently than a biography, in an autobiography, the author uses the first-person narrative, like I or my, or plural form, we versus us. So now that we have established the difference between a biography and an autobiography, I want to tell you that neither are about you anymore anyways, and we'll find out why that is. So in today's digital era, autobiographies are found on websites, specifically on about pages. And as we know, on websites, visitors are looking for answers and are not necessarily interested in learning your life story. So for example, somebody who's on your about page may not be interested in reading about your favorite dessert, unless, of course, that scrumptious white chocolate raspberry cheesecake has something to do with your business. So it really comes down to telling an authentic story about yourself and your company that will empower those reading your about page to connect with your why. If written with your target audience in mind, your why will echo across the page and overcome your audience's skepticism. Because remember, yes, we're talking about autobiographies, but because they are on your About page, which is your business page, you have to, in some way, convince whoever's reading this content to take an action, to trust you. So your why is at the center of your autobiography, but it really reflects more onto your client or your reader. So it's not really about your story so much as it is identifying with the people who are reading your About page. So now it's time to decide whether or not you want to feature a biography. So again, a third-person narrative, or an autobiography, a first-person narrative on your About page. So let's talk this through together. So the rule of thumb, although content gurus worldwide really go at each other with this topic in a sense, if you are one person representing your business and all of your services, then it might be best to use the first person narrative. So I or my, or first person plural, we versus us. So for example, on my business website, I use we, so plural. It just depends on which is more appropriate for your situation and sort of the flow of your website. First person storytelling is, however, more personable and inviting. Therefore, if you want your visitors to feel comfortable enough to stick around and take action, consider featuring an autobiography. Now, for my clients, I write both autobiography style and biography. It really depends what I feel together with the client works best for that website in particular. Third person narrative works well, I find, for companies that employ independent consultants or brokers. There are exceptions. There's always exceptions. And the reason I say this is because even Neil Patel, who's a New York Times bestselling author and the top influencer on the web, he uses third person point of view on his About page. So my tip, my personal tip as a content strategist is this though. Should you decide to feature a biography, I would suggest that you add at least 2 quotes in the first person to break down the content and transmit warmth and authenticity to the person reading. So I have an example. Now, it doesn't have to be 2. It just depends on the length of your biography. So if it's very long, I would suggest putting 2 quotes. If it's shorter, then I suggest just putting 1. So I do have an example, and I hope this works and that you ladies will be able to see. And I chose this example because it has 2 quotes. We're not going to read it all, so don't worry about that. But I wrote a biography style biography for Jody. She's actually in the MAWB. And I introduced her and I said, meet Jody Shamnani, Homer community champion and your home buying expert. And then I go and I share a bit of her story. And then I put in a quote. So it brings in the reader. It brings in that warmth. Then I continue, okay, and I put a little bit more information about her life and what she does, and sort of her competitive edge, and then I close it again with another quote. So although it's a very hot topic on the internet, if you were to Google, should I use third person versus first person, so biography versus autobiography, everybody will tell you to feature an autobiography and use the first tense, but it is up to the goal and the vision and the purpose of your website. Just know that if you do use the, if you are using or featuring, pardon me, an autobiography, it is more of a connector with your reader. And if you are going to feature instead a biography, you want to break it down with at least 1 or 2 quotes, and it really works. It makes a huge difference. Now, to sort of tie that all together, avoid calling your page About Me. Or for example, about and then your name. So about Sabrina. Instead, change it to about us, our story, who we are, or simply put about. Because again, you want to make sure you're focusing on your readers and not about you. So not making this all about you. Do we have actually any questions up until this point? The reason I ask is because we might be going through a lot of material. So if there's any questions now, I'll take them. Otherwise, I'll keep moving forward.
No, I don't have questions, but I get asked this all the time because in my classes, I show people where fields are, for example, in LinkedIn or in Instagram or in Facebook. I show where the fields are and tell them that they're missing opportunities if they don't fill out their about section fully. And they often ask me, well, how do I write that? And I've always been under the same feeling that you gave earlier, which kind of feels like a confirmation for me, is that if you are your own, like if you are a single person owning this business and doing all the work, then I feel it should be I. But if you are a team or have a team, then yes, I think that it should be we. I have a question for you. So on my website is, well, my company is Christine Hall and Associates. Right. So on my website, I try to use the plural because it's and associates.
Right. Yes, makes
but
sense.
On my Facebook page, that's all me.
Right.
Like, well, right now it is. Well, I don't want to say all me, but I'm forward facing. I am, right? So I always sign off with my name. And
so is the question, are you asking if that's, so I guess, let me just say that typically you want to try and keep consistency in all of your platforms. So if you're speaking at a we, then I would suggest that you do the same with your Facebook page that matches that business page.
I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, it's the rule of thumb.
My Facebook page is not called Christine Hull and Associates. It's
called Christine Hull.
And all of my social media platforms are right now it's all Christine Hull.
Okay.
Online. And I am the face. I'm trying to get out of my own way.
Right. Yeah.
And change that. But on the website, it's definitely about associates because I have like a VA and an intern and I have a web person who does a lot of the work listed in the services.
Right. If you were to ever change and match the name, so Christine Hull and Associates, then the suggestion typically is to keep the tenses consistent in all that has to do with that business.
Okay.
Just to keep the consistency, because you might then find potentially that somebody goes on the Facebook page, I'm not saying your Facebook page, but a Facebook page, and then is confused as to, wait, is it, a company or a team, or is it one person?
Right.
So in content and copy, the reason why it is best to keep it standard is just to avoid any kind of confusion that in the world of internet is a very easy bounce rate kind of deal, in a sense. But because your page is Christine Hull and not Christine Hull and Associates, it doesn't make sense that it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions about the tense that they're using for their particular business? Because we've got a few direct sellers on the line, and then we have Agnes, who is a solopreneur, but works with teams of contractors to produce the output, right, Agnes?
Yes, so what I did, I put on my website about AM Modern Interiors, and I said that I created AM Modern Interiors and talking about myself, and in the end I added that let us take us to the journey through interior design, like something like this. So like I try to combine it together.
Okay, and that would be, so it's an autobiography style because it's plural form of first person. So then that would be fine. That would be perfect. And for example, so the opposite is I provided content for Vicki Nicholas, and on her website, it just felt right to have it in third person with a quote. It worked really well with the flow of the website, and that's why, for example, on hers, that's the direction I decided to go. So it's very short, her biography. It gives her credentials, because in the wedding industry, having been a bride not too long ago, I just recalled going to all these websites, and I just wanted to know, can I trust you? And in my mind as a bride, I want to know, are you good with the vendors? Like, are you well known in the industry? And so we put that right front and center as the trust factor. And then beneath that, we put a very nice warm quote. And in that case, for Vicki, I felt it really worked well to do third person with then the final first person quote. So just to give another perspective. Okay, so before we delve any further, I want to show you what the anatomy of a successful about page looks like. And I know it might seem like we're deviating from the autobiography, but we're not. And the reason is because layout and flow of content and purpose and placement are also very important factors. So sure, the copy, it has to be good. Of course, that's of course. However, how you're placing and where, so how your introduction is and what your body is and the call to actions, everything together constitute your about page. So I took the time. This is what I do for all of my clients. So Ida over here is my friend. I always add her to my presentations, just for a laugh. So this is what I built when I write either a biography or an autobiography for my clients. And this is sort of the basic anatomy of the page. So the catchy title. Now, for example, catchy titles could be questions, could be quotes. They could literally be very brief titles. Don't make it too long. That is my number one piece of advice. Do not make your titles too long. So when you're writing, and this works for both an autobiography or a biography, it does not matter. This is
so too long. Is it like 30 words? Is it 30 characters or 2 or 3 words? What do you mean by?
So that's, I didn't think of it in a number of characters, but I just would not have more than like 8 words.
Okay.
Just because you want to capture the attention, but if the person is having to read 2 lines just to get through your title, they're not going to move forward. So for the introduction, a couple of tricks that you can use are to share an interesting detail about yourself or your business right off the bat. So it could be a statistic. It could be anything. It could be anything that is a little bit more unique about either yourself or your business. You can tell an anecdote. So every entrepreneur has kind of unique circumstances that influence their journey. If you have a story, why not start right away with that story, with that little anecdote? You can ask your audience a question. Now, this is really cool because if there is the one question that everybody always asks about your business, this is your opportunity to answer it. Now, if you have posed your catchy title as a question, I would then not do that again as you're in your intro. So just make sure you're not, your title isn't a question and then your intro is a question. It just looks a little bit off. That's just my personal opinion. So definitely you can start your introduction by answering the question that everybody always poses to you. And if you keep getting the same question from people, it's because, you know, they want to know what the answer is. So use this as a platform to answer that question. What you can also do is set up a cliffhanger. Now, usually in movies, cliffhangers are at the end. So when a season ends, you know, something happens and then you have to wait until September to find out what the heck is going to happen in the next episode. So we kind of want to do that right at the introduction rather than the ending in this case. So my biography, and we'll look at it together, has a cliffhanger. And it's kind of neat because the reader is intrigued and wants to keep reading on. So then you can move on to the body. And the body, this is your time, your opportunity to tell your story by using your voice. Your story is a unique selling point that can create interest and drive leads. Now, we tend to think that we're not cool enough, that our experience, our past, nobody's interested in it, and it's not true. So just think that something that you may not think is quote unquote cool, somebody else might find interesting. So don't be afraid of sharing those aspects of your journey. You want to connect with your readers, so you want to make it relatable, and that is the biggest word that I use more and often with my clients is relatable. So that brings me to say, be real and not perfect. So you can always have somebody read your content. Grammar is something that you can always, you know, there's tools online. I'll share some with you at the end of the presentation. You can always fix the grammar, but the authenticity, the real, that is you. So just be real and don't get fixated on being perfect or writing and doing what everybody else is doing, or writing and how everybody else is doing it. And the most important part, and this is sort of where the marketing comes in, end your autobiography with a clear value proposition. So that's really important. There's no point in you writing a good biography or autobiography if you're not then incentivizing your readers to do something. The point of your about page is, sure, to learn about you and the business, but something has to happen after that. So end your biography with a clear value proposition. Now, what I do, and this is for all my clients, in order to establish credibility, I put social proof. And in every about page that I've written, there's always a testimonial. Beside, beneath, it doesn't matter, but the social proof. You won't believe how important social proof is when it comes to content marketing. So I would definitely add a testimonial. And then this is something that I do personally, 2 call to action buttons. And I'll explain why. So I want to make sure that we're not losing clicks and actions. So somebody's on your website, so they're definitely wanting to learn more about you, and they have, because they read your biography or autobiography. They have proof that you've made somebody happy, that you've touched someone's life somehow with your product or with your service, and now they're going to want to do something, hopefully. And it's up to you what action you want them to take. So I'm not going to be telling you what kind of call to action button to put on your website, because we would need to know what your website and services are all about. But I would put the stronger one and then a backup. So I call it the backup call to action, meaning that if somebody, for example, is not ready to purchase a service, they might be, though, interested in following you or downloading something or contacting you and asking you a question. So always have 2, because psychologically the person will, might say, okay, I don't want to do this, but you know what, I'll do this. So that is a trick that I've just picked up on my own, to be honest, and that's what I do for all of my clients. Below the call to actions, if you, it would be nice to have your contact information. If you have frequently asked questions, that you get a lot, this is a great place to, you know, put them if you want. If you have a portfolio, if you want to either put a link or put a few pictures, you know, then this is also a good place to put that as well. Does anybody have questions about sort of the anatomy of the About page?
It's 2 o'clock.
Oh, sorry, that was my computer. So the call to action number 1, that's what your real intention. That's what you want them to do.
Yes, yes, yes. And then the backup is just in case, you know, they're not ready for that, but you don't want to lose them. You want to give the second option. So I call it the backup call to action. And I will always have 2 buttons. It's funny enough, ironically, not on my website, but because I can't. My website has a great content, but I work full-time as well. So I can't have more than a certain amount of clients. So I don't really curate my website to get me all the clients that I want, because I need to hold off on that. So I have only 1 call to action button.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
And you're physically talking about a button and not an invitation to, you know, book a 20-minute session with words and a link. You're actually talking about a physical button?
So it depends what you need. So if you're selling a service and you want to, if the audience, the people on your site don't want to purchase that service, but perhaps you want them to contact you or to book a call to discuss or to follow you, whatever your intent is, whatever, if that doesn't work, what do you want? What would be the second best thing? Have that button, and it could be getting leads. So that button could be if they want to download information from you, if they want newsletters and you want people's emails, it could be leave me your email and I will send you newsletters. So that could be your number 2. It really depends on what your goal is. For some people, that's the number 1. They just want emails and they want to grow their email list. So that might be their number 1, and then there could be a number 2.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like my number 1 would be, you know, book a group session, and number 2 would be download my ebook on 10 tips for getting greater engagement. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yes. And that way you don't lose, you still get leads coming in, right? Because you have the backup. It makes a big difference. The backup call to actions make a very big difference.
Yeah. It's almost, well, it's like what I say to people if your number 1 goal, and I'm saying this because of Vicky and Lena, if your number 1 goal is really to grow your team, then that's what you want. You want people to come join your team. If they're not ready for that, then maybe they'll host a party. Okay, not ready for that. How about you just buy from my catalog?
Exactly. 100%. Yes, and because it's fresh, because they've just read about you, they're captivated, they're interested, it's all about psychology. They will gravitate to, if not the 1, at least the second option. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Somebody else have a question?
There we go. So now that we've sort of learned the difference between a biography and an autobiography, we've kind of made the distinction between the first person and third person, and we've looked at the anatomy of the actual page. Let's see, before you begin, you want to ask yourself a couple of questions. So before you begin writing, you want to know what your objective is. So here are some questions that you can go by. There's a resource that I will be sharing with you at the end of this presentation, which I found, and it's phenomenal, and I think it's going to help everybody kind of curate a very good about page. But anyways, so first question is first, who will read my autobiography? Okay, so this, I know it seems basic, but it's very important that you really think about who will read it, because you are writing to that person. So for example, if you have a business already and you have an ideal client in your mind that you're striving for, write to that person. Write to your ideal client. So then your voice will be heard to the people who are your ideal client reading your biography.
Amen, sister. Amen to that. I tell people that all the time.
And it sounds so basic, but you just get so focalized in the fact that you're having to write this. Oh my God, what am I going to say? And then you just lose sight. So it's basic things, but they help us funnel our thoughts, right? So who will read my bio? And if you have a typical perfect client that you want, you write "Dear Perfect Client" and you start. Okay. So why did I create this product or service? So remember, again, your why should resonate with your customer's why. So ask yourself how your products or services touch people's lives and why they should be interested in them. So your why has to match your reader's why. That's very important. What is your story? So again, your voice will always be unique. So use it. Don't be scared and tell your unique story from your unique perspective. At the same time, I want to warn you, don't tell your readers who you are, but tell them why you matter to them. Okay? Why is what you're writing going to matter to them?
I remember in grade 10 marketing, the marketing teacher introduced us to his favorite radio station, WIIFM.
Okay.
Which stands for What's in It for Me.
Oh.
Not you as in the seller, the salesperson, but as in the reader, the buyer, the purchase, your client. What is in it for them? So that's always stuck with me. Yeah. Like, it's been a long time since grade 10. So no, WIIFM.
but you remember because it stuck with you, right? Because it makes perfect sense. And it's really important. Don't tell your readers who you are, but tell them why you matter to them. Okay. And then of course, what inspired my business? That's something that, inspiration is important to everybody. It's relatable. So make sure you tell your readers what inspired you to do what you're doing. Now, last but not least, just a couple more. We've already touched upon it, but what is in it for my readers? Christine just absolutely hit the nail on the spot there. So what is in it for my readers? And I wrote my because when you read this, it's my readers, so your readers. And this also very important that some people tend to forget, but what does my audience need to know in order to gain my trust? So you need, as you're writing your biography or autobiography, I was about to say out of office, geez. You need to make sure that you add information in there that will exude trust. So you need to gain people's trust. And you're doing so by writing, information that will have them trust you and your services and your why and why you're doing this. Then what do my readers do after they read my biography? And we've gone through this already, the action buttons. I'm just going to take a sip of water because I can feel my mouth drying up very, very much. So excuse me. So this is a quote that I added that I absolutely love. I follow an author. Her name is Anne Handley, and she is a great content marketer. She's phenomenal. And this is straight from her book. Your brand voice is simply an expression of your company's personality and point of view, which basically means your brand is your personality and your point of view. It's you. And again, very simplistic, but very, very, very true. So, this is not the time to be humble. Your autobiography, your biography, your about page, you're not supposed to be humble. Since it's accessible 24/7, your website works when you don't. Heck, it works while you're sleeping. Amazing. So shred your modesty, stat. Okay? You have to think of a few strengths and distinctive qualities and incorporate at least the top 3 in your biography. Now, these strengths are not meant to be self-serving. So in fact, they should be qualities that your readers will appreciate, relate to, and understand. So for example, sorry?
It's so hard to write about yourself.
I know.
Like you're saying here, be humble. And I know you have to toot your own horn, especially when you're a solopreneur.
Yes, you have to.
I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I'm taking notes. What do I say?
You think of your strengths. Oh my God, Christine, I could sit here all day listing your strengths.
I know, I could do that for each one of you as well. But I think we all, don't you agree that people have that problem when they're trying to?
And so you know what you do? You call a friend. You call your mom. You call your sister.
Well,
you call
your
a
mom
mobster.
doesn't count.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but you ask a mobster, you ask someone that, what do you think my strengths are or my distinctive qualities? And then think about what somebody says to you and think of them. And always, I find that I ask a lot of questions all the time, and perspective, right? Because you're in your own head. So something as simple as qualities about yourself, there's no shame in asking somebody that knows you very well, hey, what do you think they are? And maybe they'll say one that you weren't thinking about, but it connects to your journey or your business. Definitely add that in to your biography and autobiography. Like, it is not the time to be humble, so don't be humble. I had a bit of a funny remark. So if you're a pastry chef, I doubt that it would be helpful to tell your readers that you're a great gymnast, unless you, of course, can knead bread while you tumble. So don't just say you're great at stuff just for the sake of saying it, but tie in the top 3 to your why, to your journey, to your purpose, and to your reader. Okay? I think it's very important. So keep it short. So I did that on purpose. I wanted to get rid of the end of sweet, so keep it short.
I love that. That's good. That's good.
Right? So I personally don't think that authentic storytelling has a metric. Okay. I did quite a bit of research before today on the optimal length of an about page. And then I just literally just kind of sat back at my chair and I thought, why am I telling you how short or long your story should be? So I won't. I will, however, caution you to keep each of your statements concise and to the point. Don't stray away from your focus, which is your autobiography, therefore your customer, and give only the information that is relevant to your purpose. Okay, so keep it short, but that doesn't mean the length. And I do get asked a lot how long, how short things need to be. In this case, I think that it depends on your journey and on your story. But as you're writing it, keep all your points concise. Okay? So this is a bit of a fun trick that sometimes I ask my clients. So content in a bottle. So if your autobiography, in this case, were to wash ashore 20 years from now, would somebody reading it understand who you are and what you do? Right? So think about it that way. If aliens just dropped into this earth and landed on your website somehow, would they understand? So have that always at the back of your head, the back of your mind when you're writing your biography or any content for that matter, okay? So I just thought this was a cute little anecdote. Now, depending if we still have some time, I just was going to share an example of my own autobiography. And the way I did this is, I'll try, it's not very long, but I did think it was a good example. So following the anatomy of the about page that I showed you before, I do only have one button. I don't want to, but that's different for my clients. I'll always have two. But starting from the top, so my heading is very short. We are ready. It's a little bit unique, okay? The cliffhanger goes something like this. It was a typical Italian afternoon at my grandma's store. I was finishing my daily dose of homework which included my mother's rendition of a grammar lesson. It's like, where is she going with this? Okay, she was doing her homework, and it's a little bit intriguing and a little bit interesting. So I continue. The lesson consisted of copying English passages from novels, magazines, and newspapers. You name it, and I copied it. Not my favorite devoir. However, one can say that I unknowingly began studying and analyzing content at the tender age of 10. So there you go. I'm starting to tell my story. During my adolescence, I did not express interest or enthusiasm in writing. So this is a bit of the unexpected twist. Like, oh, a content writer that was never interested in writing? Interesting. However, in university, I found myself aiding fellow classmates write their essays. So 3 theses later, none of which were my own, and this is a real story, I began realizing I had a way with words. So before I did mine, I did 3, so 2 friends actually and my aunt. And one of my friends was out of the country. I also had to bind her theses. So not only did I do it, I had to bind it. Anyway, after which following my studies, I worked as a translator for the local courthouse as well as a marketing consultant for a major investment firm. So in one sentence, my resume, 1 sentence, super brief. I made my way back to Canada at the age of 27 and worked for different corporations. Unfulfilled and restless, I began helping friends and acquaintances kickstart their businesses. I was developing and composing marketing strategies, which led me to writing marketing content. Marketing content slowly turned into websites, which in turn brought us to where you are now. So unfulfilled and restless, negative, but totally relatable. That's why I chose to share that. Then below that, where I've underlined in black, it says, which in turn brought us to where you are now. I'm speaking directly to the reader. Like, I see you, right? So that kind of methodology. Then I go to my value proposition. In 2017, I founded the content writing company with a view to helping business owners like yourself craft meaningful online experiences that engage audiences and build lasting relationships. My why most probably equals my reader's why. So I also wanted to add what we're not. So we're not a content machine and pride ourselves in providing first-class purposeful content, et cetera, et cetera. And then I go to my transition. Now that you know my story, we look forward to writing yours. Cool. Call to action. So
I like it's fun. I like it's short. Right. I like it does have those twisty little gets you thinking.
Right.
Very good.
So example, and I thought, now I don't know, Christine, you tell me the time because I don't want to go over.
We're good. It is 2:17, so we have still 13 minutes.
Okay. So I wanted to just quickly, so I've recently started following a fun blogger. Her name is Karen Martson. I absolutely love the way that Karen expresses her opinion surrounding keyword and SEO, so search engine optimization. She and I share exactly the same opinion, so I just kind of wanted to read you her quote. It does have a bit of a bad word, but I promise I won't say it. So for any of those who don't know what search engine optimization is when you try and use relevant keywords within your content. So in this case, in your biography or autobiography. But this is what Karen has to say. So she says, you also need to make sure you put the right words on the page itself. A lot of people say you should research your keywords and stuff them into your text a certain amount of times just to make sure Google knows what you're using the words that will make the biggest impact. But I say, F that. I have never done keyword research. I don't even really know what it is, if I'm honest. All I've ever done is use my common sense and talk about things in a normal way. This results in copy that contains phrases people will search for. Just say what you mean to say in the words that you or anyone else would use to say it. And bam, you've done some SEO. So the moral of this story is, do not get caught up in all of the SEO hype. There's nothing wrong with learning and optimizing your strategy, absolutely. However, before SEO, writers use your common sense. And remember, as Christine told me a couple of days ago. You are the expert. There's not anybody better than you to describe your services and why your services are the best. Right? Christine, when I was nervous about this presentation, you said that to me.
I think I said, you're going to rock it, sister.
Also, you did say that too. Okay, so now we're kind of at the tail end of the presentation. So I wanted to talk to you about proofing. So these are pretty known facts, but there is one that I find very interesting. So read aloud, which I did a bunch of times before today with this presentation. So check. So make sure you read your content out loud. Print your work. I also did that. Check. Find a buddy. So I have a editor who works with me. So she edits all the work that I do for all of my clients, and she also edited this presentation just to make sure that everything was okay. So if you do have a buddy, find a buddy. If you don't have a buddy, hi, I'm your buddy. I can help. So just let me know. Now, the best one is proofread backwards. Now, this is a trick I learned from my high school teacher. Her name was is Mrs. Golden, truly deserving of her name. So she would tell me to read my essay backwards, which does not mean reading each word backwards. It means reading each paragraph again, but starting from the last paragraph and making your way back up. By doing this, so this exercise interrupts your reading pattern, which allows you to spot mistakes more easily. So whenever you've done writing your content, instead of rereading it from top to bottom, just read the last paragraph from the beginning to end and move up. And you will spot a lot more mistakes that way than you would if you were to continuously do it in the same way, so from top to bottom. And so after she told me that, I adopted that all throughout university, and and I still do it to this day with my own content as well. So that's it. That's the whole presentation. Are you going to share the presentation with the ladies, Christine?
My plan was to share the record the video and then put the video on our group page for others to look at.
Okay.
If you are okay, maybe you can send a PDF of this
yes.
if you want.
Okay.
And then I can include that as a download for them.
Okay.
It's up to you. If you want to put it on your website and have us download it from there, whatever.
Okay. Okay. The reason is I have this, so I'll just show you very quickly because I think this will be extremely helpful to a lot of people. So this is not my work. This is from Sumo, a website.
Do you have a membership?
No, actually, I don't. But I download the things that I know will kind of be helpful.
The free stuff.
Yes, exactly. So this will help you create a nice about page. And so they ask the right questions. So some were similar to the ones that I had on my presentation, and they give you the worksheet to also fill the questions out, right? And every tab then brings you to sort of the end of, so they're helping you build your biography or autobiography.
Okay, so these are questions like you broke down, you answer the questions, and basically from that you can piece together these 6 or 7 answers to get you your whole autobiography.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
Yes.
Really helpful.
So this is extremely helpful. It took me some time to find this actually. So I will be definitely, you can share. It's a shareable link. I had to download their shareable link, and I found it. So definitely worth taking a look. Another good tool that I use myself is Related Words. It's a synonym finder, and it's a very cool synonym finder because it gives you words that are not necessarily synonyms, but are kind of related to each other. So,
what word did you type in there? I looked down for a second.
Oh,
nice. Okay.
So nice, pleasant, France, Marseille, decent, and then lucky. And then when you click on each word, it gives you the meaning and it gives you the related words to that other word. It's really good for using different words that are not typically.
I find sometimes I get stuck using the same word, and you can't explain the word by using the word in the definition or the explanation. So this is good.
Yes, and sometimes synonyms just don't really, they're not, how do you say, the fact that these words are related to the theme kind of broadens your options a little bit. And then, oopsies, oh, what happened there? And then this is fantastic, guys. This is, or ladies, sorry. This is, it's the headline analyzer. It scores your headlines.
Oh, cool.
It's phenomenal. So the higher the score.
Could you use this headline analyzer also with subject lines for emails?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
100%. So I use this a lot. It was actually a marketer who passed this along to me as a tool that he uses. So I've used it ever since, especially for blogging. This is number one.
Can you just put in an example so I can see what happens? Is it rate you on a score of 1 to 10, or does it tell you how to improve it? Sorry. I'm such a doer.
No. I was thinking that, let me see. I don't remember. Where is, here. What did we use for his? So I had to figure out, no, this one I didn't like actually. But okay, this client had a very difficult theme.
Like look at that. It showed scores. Okay.
So it shows, nope. There, sorry. Hey, isn't it not working? They've changed it. I used this
No, you gotta sign up.
Oh no. Okay. All right. I've been using this for 10 months. It's never asked me that.
Listen, girl, you don't know what it's like to be standing in front of a group of people and have something change on you.
Oh my goodness. I'm sweating. Okay.
It happens daily with Facebook. Oh, where'd that button come from?
Oh my God. Okay. I will follow up with Christine on this. So I will follow up.
We can all follow up on our, I'm assuming you have to become a paid or unpaid member to use it then.
Potentially, but I have never given my information. So I've been using it. I've been blogging for Damien for a long time, and I finished the blogs 2 weeks ago, but I used it last week for another client and it never asked me. I mean, so I have no idea what happened. So I'll have to figure it out and get back to you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The key is you're going to share those 3 URLs and we can go check it out and test her out and see how it goes. So the first one and that document you showed had 76% and then it had 81%. So yes. Obviously you're going for as close to
100 as possible. So this particular theme that he wanted to write about was very difficult, and it was straight from his book. So I'm even surprised that this got 81%, but it's because you're using a combination of, like, miracle is a very strong word, entrepreneurial, it's a very popular term, and the word unlock, and the fact that you're kind of telling somebody how to do something. So those are all the components that scored 81 in this case. There was another example that I have that I wanted to show you.
So when you sent that back to him, you said, here's the 2 headings we can use, here's the scores.
Yes. And so because it has to also make sense with the blog, even if it's not 100, but it makes sense to me, I will let the client know, listen, I like this one and it scored 80, but I want to tell him what the score is. He won't, regardless, he wouldn't use anything that's below 75.
Oh, okay. So, how long would it take to get 100 if you're trying?
I'll be honest, I have not gotten 100 yet.
Okay.
So I have not myself gotten 100.
The pressure's off us then.
I think I got 92, maybe, but then I ended up not using that. And again, this is another example, just because I have his. So this one I liked, so I told him, I said, it scored 75, lower than the others, however, I liked it. And he kept it. So
I'm a big believer in the law of reciprocity.
Yeah, right?
Giver's gain, baby, giver's gain.
That's right. That was a very fun one to write, actually. But yeah, so I hope that this was helpful. If anybody has any questions for me, I am very nervous. I don't know if that's apparent or not, but I was so nervous.
Great job.
Yeah.
Whew.
Excellent. What I loved about the presentation is I feel like it gave us a really good kind of a high-level overview, what you should be doing. I loved the 2 call to action buttons because I don't think I have any on my about page. On my little bio, on my profile pic from my Facebook page, I do kind of have that call to action. The first thing I want them to do, the second thing I want them to do. So that was a really good piece of information. And I always love to tell people that, when I'm teaching them social media classes, is like, be you, be real, be authentic, be conversational. Yeah. And sometimes we have to move forward imperfectly. And so you said that. I wrote down the line. You said, be real and not perfect. Yeah. Because perfect takes way too freaking long.
Yeah, and perfect isn't relatable, and perfect won't tap into the emotions of the people reading about you. And, perfect sounds sometimes, unfortunately, even if, things might be very good, but it seems fake. It gives that impression. It just is a disconnect. So be real, not perfect. Yeah.
Okay, Lena has put her hand up some time ago. Sorry. I'm going to go into the chat. Lena, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. I just want to ask Sabrina, because I'm actually very, very busy. I can't even keep up with my workload. But do you charge, what do you charge for doing a bio for someone?
So, okay. So my criteria for biographies, because they tend to be shorter, the ones that are online, is I charge $1 per word. Now for MAWB groups, I'm definitely lenient on adjusting the pricing. But my price, as per my website, I should change it really, but it is $1 per word for autobiographies and biographies. It can be a little pricey, but for mobsters, I'm definitely willing to adjust the price.
So when you if you've got a price in place for our group, could you just email it to me or contact me online or something like that?
Sure, yeah.
Because I don't even have the time to I want to do my biography, but I'm so much other things to do right now.
Completely understandable, but for sure. So I will, Christine, should I maybe share something with you and then you make it available?
Everything is not together.
Is that okay, Lena? If she forwards the information to me and then I put it into the group, or Sabrina, would you just like everyone?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I mean, you're more than welcome to contact these ladies directly.
Okay, I just don't want to step on. I just don't want to step on.
That's it for me.
Yeah, no. I actually, if you don't mind, if you want to go directly to Lena and let her know, because I don't want to be a cog. I don't want to stop. I'm like Lena.
Internet is having problems.
Okay, sounds good, Christine. Sounds great.
And then that way, if she has any more questions, you guys can just talk it out, flesh it out. This is, I thank you very much for your time. Truly appreciate you taking the effort and putting the energy into creating this presentation for us and answering our questions. So it's totally, I'm going to tell you this as a presenter who isn't getting paid, you're commercial and you go. Okay, girl.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was
Great. Ow.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
If anybody has any questions, you guys know where to find me.
Yeah. So, hey, Lena, why
Yes?
don't you send Sabrina a PM and just say, hey, when you have that pricing structure established for the mobsters, send it my way.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And if I had the time to sit down and do it, I would have worked on it. And I don't think you need to be nervous at all. You did a great job.
I am so warm. It's hilarious.
It's all that the luscious red locks.
Right? Yeah, it's a lot of hair too. Yeah, it does not help.
So Vicky actually asked us to have this talk to bring in a presenter, and so Vicky, do you have any questions, comments, or anything that you'd like to say? I want to hear from you since it's your.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I had one question. 3 buttons might work well for me. For example, one button if people wanted to become a stylist, another button if they wanted to host a party, or one if they just wanted to purchase. Is that too many buttons, or would that be appropriate?
I think it might. Do you have another page where you can focalize one of those call to actions specifically to cater to that action, as opposed to putting 3? Because then it seems, I think it's too much.
Okay. All right. It's a
You know the saying, when people are given too many choices, they don't make any.
Yes.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
go with the 2, and then there's a button somewhere up there that's going to say shop or go to the catalog.
Yes.
And you know what's a good thing to do as well? So to help you with that in general for those kinds of services, depending who has built your website, there's always the option to have the action button near the menu at all times. So then at that point, that's what I would do for you, or for a service like that. So if you need somebody to purchase something or buy, then you can always opt to have that button as part next to your menu bar. So it's always visible.
Now we work through a corporate website, so we just use the link.
Got it.
There. Other than I've got my Facebook page, but then I've got my jewelry company that I can do that with the jewelry section. It's a Shopify site.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the way I translated that, Vicky, though, is if, let's say, I took what she said on this page that she's demonstrating here as almost like, in a way, okay, if I'm going to write a social media post, this is kind of how I want to do it. Catchy title at the top, what's in it for them, and then establish kind of, if you're selling a shirt, it's sold out or it's whatever. And then the call to action, right? We always talk about having that call to action in your social media post.
Okay.
So simplified.
And this format really can be used for a lot. It's not limited to an autobiography or biography, this sort of framework.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. It's broken down well. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I screen capped it. As soon as she showed, I'm like, ooh, this is good.
All right, and ladies, just I guess my call to action to you ladies is, if you think that this was interesting and you have the time to maybe leave a recommendation, it's not necessary, it's not at all required, it's only appreciated. So
givers gain, ladies, givers gain. That's
you.
awesome, Sabrina. I'll definitely go to your Facebook page and write you a review there. Thank you so very much for your time. And I will make sure to share Sabrina's contact information again on our private mastermind group. But I encourage each of you, if you have questions or you want to follow up with her about her services, please send a PM, and that will invite her to get back to you. And I think everyone is very keen and very interested, Sabrina, in having you reach out to them, and then you guys can just kind of go from there as to, is this something immediate, or is this something 6 months from now, or is this just answering a couple quick questions? So
yes, and I'm absolutely available for questions. Like, it doesn't need to lead to anything. It's a learning opportunity for everybody, and I love networking. And Christine, you do such a fantastic job. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, ladies, for having me.
all right, girls, happy International Women's Day. Go have some wine or cake or workout, whatever it is you love to do. Cherish yourself, know your worth, and rock your world, ladies. Have a good weekend. Thank you again, Sabrina, and we will talk to you all soon. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.